Hello, welcome to the Vidpal.net Startup and Travel webinar series. I'm Emelina Monero, Vidpal Social Media Manager, and we are a global real-time video marketplace for the average traveler. Tonight we are going to be talking with Jaime Gonzalez Aguilar, Vidpal Software Engineering Manager. And to get started, we're going to jump straight into travel. So Jaime, you have traveled to 4 continents, and that's a large portion of the world. Out of all your travel, what was your favorite place to go to?
Well, it's funny because it is true. I have the opportunity to travel a lot thanks to both personal and professional reasons. And I travel a lot, mostly in Europe, also in America, Africa, and Asia. But at the end of the day, to be honest with you, I enjoy mostly traveling within my country, Spain. And if I had to recommend the city, I will always be biased and recommend Madrid as the city to travel. I would basically recommend everybody to go to Spain and visit it at least once. So it's funny because sometimes I have a blast and amazing times traveling abroad and going to other countries, but sometimes you also kind of like forget that the local travels can also be as nice and as productive and fantastic. It happens many times, I guess, when somebody comes to visit you, that you visit new things that you never seen. So that has happened to me a few times.
What are the local, I guess, things that you didn't visit until friends came to visit you?
Well, I've gone to museum I've never been to when on my own. I think that's probably a topic. Now that I'm living in New York, there are so many things to do, and I haven't had the time that I can only see them when somebody comes to visit me. Even the most touristy things, I haven't done it until somebody came here, like going to the top of the Empire State or trying to see the Statue of Liberty. And I'm sure I'm missing a lot of things, but it's funny. It takes somebody to visit you to get to see them.
What are some of the local gems in Madrid that only natives know about?
Well, I've been out for a while from Madrid. It's been 6 years. I try to go there as soon as much as I can, and I think one thing that you need to do in Madrid is getting lost a little bit. I guess that's probably an advice that you can apply everywhere you go. Spain is one of these places. I mean, you don't have to get completely lost, but a little bit lost just to see things that you were not expecting to see. One of the nice things of Madrid, both during daylight or nightlife, is to go to places, to bars, to tapas bars, and some of them are in the guides, but normally some of those are maybe a little bit too packed, or maybe became too touristy. So getting lost in the areas where you know there are good tapas, like La Latina or other places, is good. It's good. Don't never be afraid of getting a little bit lost, as long as you have a map to follow to come to where the places that you know. And I mean, a place that I think that I've been so many times that it's always something I remember a lot. I think it's pretty common, but it might not be in the top 10 of the Madrid guides. It's a park that has an Egyptian temple. It's called Templo de Debod, which is Temple of Debod, and it has a fantastic view of the Royal Palace and other parts of Madrid. The temple itself is very nice. The park is very nice. It's a place I wouldn't miss if I go to Madrid.
And then, have you been to Santiago de Compostela?
I've been a long time ago.
Hmm.
I was a little bit young. I remember it. I remember I liked it, but it's been a little bit long ago.
I traveled there to study abroad. I remember just learning a lot of the history of that area.
Nice. Yes, it's a very nice place. Yeah.
And then, so you said that earlier that you moved to California for work, and that California is one of your favorite states. Why is California one of your favorite states?
Well, I think that's probably something that most people think as well if they have lived in California. But in my case, and I obviously have a shorter experience maybe compared to other people living in the US. But the one thing that I liked and impressed me was the different landscapes. So many different landscapes, even micro weather spots. You go from really warm and humid San Diego, and then you go into Tahoe in the mountains, and that doesn't look like the same state. So it's something that that amazed me in a very positive way, because it gives you opportunity to visit many different outdoor places. I like outdoor activities a lot too, so that was very nice. I like driving too, so that was also a good point. So it was great to see that in one single state you can actually enjoy so many different things. From going to the beach, hike a mountain, ski, go to Yosemite Park, which is an amazing place, and and also the urban life of San Francisco. I love it. It's a great place to live.
And on your VidPal bio, it said that you're a city person, but you also like to be in outdoors. So New York City, that seems like probably one of the biggest high energy cities in the United States. So what about New York do you like, and like what does New York have to offer to travelers?
Well, everything. I think that if you can try to think of something, probably New York has it from a city perspective, of course. I think, yes, as you were saying, I consider myself a city person. I grew up in Madrid. I grew up in the city, maybe not in the city center, but I like all the services and things that a city can offer, that you can go and try many different types of food, many different culture options, places to see, visit day and night. New York has that times 10. I mean, it's like anything that you can think of. There's a small corner in New York that can offer that for you. So it's fantastic. I'm very happy to have the experience to be here. Yeah.
So VidPal is based both in New York and Spain. And so
Mhm.
on the topic of VidPal, what drew you to want to work with VidPal?
Well, it was a moment in my career where I was definitely for some time actually I was thinking on joining a startup. I've been thinking on moving from a corporation, not super large corporation because I haven't worked on a super large corporation, but a decently organized corporation, and I wanted to work on a place a bit more dynamic, that where you could make a bigger impact, that basically can help you join a team and start the project from ground zero, be part of it, grow with it, and succeed with it. So the stage people had was definitely something that attracted me a lot. I was also very excited to the possibility of getting closer to the software development coding action myself, because in my previous jobs, I put a little bit of distance there, which is normal as I became a manager. But I was always longing going to developing again. And the most important thing, I guess, because that's something that could fit on other startups, but when founder showed me the product and the prototype they had and told me about the idea, I really couldn't think it twice, because it was a very interesting idea. I think that Vidpal has a very unique value proposition, even in a market where there are many services out there, big players doing offering services for users to upload videos. I think that the value proposition of Vidpal is very powerful, and it can be very big.
How does VidPal differ from another video service like YouTube or Vimeo?
Well, we have a more specific focus right now on travel and tourism. And more importantly, we are focused on make traveling and tourism useful for users. We are trying to ease their experiences by making available information they need, and more importantly, information they may even request. And basically putting together these users that or customers that are basically requesting some information or specific locations with other customers that can provide a video that conveys and includes all that information. That's really powerful. I mean, it's more about just I share a video because I want my friends to see it. No, I share it because it's going to be useful for these people that are traveling there, both local and global. Because as we were saying before, you can travel in your own city and you can see interesting things as well. So this is super powerful, and we're trying to obviously focus on this marketplace, on this exchange of videos, so that we can help users to take good decisions and happier ones in their travels.
So when Vidpal Beta goes live, what video would you want to request, and what kind of video would you want to upload to kind of show travelers either what New York has to offer or some other place that you've been to?
Well, once we expand to other cities, I have some trips planned actually to London, which is a place I always wanted to be. And interestingly enough, even if I travel a lot across Europe, I never had the chance to go to London City. I've been to London Airport 10 times, never made it to the to the city. So I have a few spots where I would like to record a video. And I don't know, probably in New York, I would probably ask for some videos of Harlem that I haven't explored enough yet.
And so tell me about your involvement with Vidpal as the software engineering manager.
Sure. So, well, I guess that like on any startup at the stage Vidpal is, there is every person has to do many different functions, and that's obviously in my case as well. So I'm focused on mostly two things, which is doing software development myself. So I'm one of the developers, but at the same time, because of my experience and because of my expertise on some technologies, I'm also helping other developers to do their job, and I help also coordinating all the development tasks that are happening. Without being a manager like in a larger company, we cannot really afford a lot of bureaucracy, and we have a quite flat organization. So I'm trying to help mostly on the development side, and I'm trying to help coordinating a few activities as well.
What kind of stuff have you been doing on the development side?
Well, I've been involved in mostly all parts. Well, to be honest, the product was already in the way when I joined Vidpal. That was 3 months ago. So the guys that were working on it can take better credit from it than I do. But I've been working on the front end of the website a lot and helping polishing a few things. But mostly I've been working more recently on the backend system, making sure that we basically handle all videos that users can want to submit to our platform, and making basically processing them, making something called transcoding, and storing them in a way so that we can offer them to other users, and so that those users can properly view those videos, whichever their software, their operating system, their browser is. So working on those backend systems and engines has been my biggest priority, and also working on the first versions of the mobile site, which is something that will come to life very soon, we hope.
And so also on your vidpal.net bio, you said that you are an enthusiast of agile software development. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes. I mean, agile software development has been around for a long time already. I actually had the opportunity to use agile methodologies quite recently, only a few years ago, and maybe that's why I have been able to see a big contrast and a big gain in moving from a traditional methodology of software development into agile. I think that well, in my case, I remember how we struggled a little bit years ago with the normal software development lifecycle, waterfall, and in a way that whenever something was changing, it was super difficult to accommodate changes. Very difficult to make sure that that the that you could deliver things if the business or the market was enforcing a lot of changes to you. And with Agile, you're basically better suited for these situations. You're better equipped to handle changes from the business side. You are focusing on smaller pieces of software that you want to deliver. Um, you enhance collaborations because you have more teams working more closely together, and everybody with one goal to deliver next iteration or next version of this feature. It helps you in many different ways. Now, obviously, there's a lot of I mean, I'm definitely not the top expert yet, but there's a lot of books, seminars, webinars, and everything about Agile. Sometimes all that information can be a bit overwhelming. I think that a good idea is to be wise and apply those principles in a way that fits your organization. Because sometimes, I mean, you can try to go all the way in, and the team might not be ready for some of those things. So we're trying to do that in Vidpal. I mean, as a startup, we kind of have no choice because we have to be agile. There's no other way. We really need to really deliver things and go over iterations like this, like super fast, and we cannot really wait too long. Especially because well, we have a product that we still want to launch and have exposed to users. So we still need to have good validation from those users, and so we know that once we launch, we will learn from these users what's good, what's not so good, and we will have to make changes very quickly to accommodate to that situation. So if we were not using agile principles, I mean, we will not be able to really come up with the next version quickly enough or with a new feature quickly enough so that we can really make this succeed. So we are following, just to give you a couple of examples, I mean, we are following some principles, but what we are trying to do is follow a minimal viable product approach so that this idea of Vidpal, and the website, which is what we're trying to release very soon, it's basically the minimum set of features and functionalities that are necessary for us to really test and validate that that this hypothesis, this idea of Vidpal can work. I mean, we are really confident that it will because we are really strong. We really think that it's a very strong idea, but we always need to test it. So we need to make sure that we don't work on things that can, I mean, deviate from the focus of the main core product proposition. And also, we are trying to apply continuous delivery, which is one of the agile principles and methodologies to try to make sure that every time that we have something ready, every time that one of our software developer guys finishes with one fix or feature, that has to go live immediately as soon as it passes, obviously, some quality test to make sure that the feature has I mean, is not breaking anything. But more importantly, to make sure that we can validate those features again very quickly and have a quick turnaround and have a very fast go-to-market strategy. Otherwise, if we were the opposite to that, basically we'll be accumulating a lot of features and then do a big release. That will slow things down. That would be even more risky. So, yep, that's more or less how we are applying Agile so far in the team.
So agile principles then would be about like having one main focus or goal and kind of streamlining everything for that. And it's big on speed.
It's definitely based on speed. I mean, one of the main principles is to try to deliver software more rapidly and more continuously. So since you cannot deliver, I mean, you cannot really do things much faster, but you can focus on the smaller things and do iterations and cycles on those smaller pieces. Once you have them ready, once you have them tested, you can deliver them, you can release them, make them live for end users to use. So it's about the speed, the go-to-market. It's about having things faster live. Yeah.
Okay. And then also in your vidpal.net bio, it said that you are passionate about learning about data science and new generation stores. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. Okay, so this is definitely one of my side projects. I haven't had the opportunity to work on them professionally, but as much as I could, I've been trying to catch up with the whole buzz and hype of data science and big data. I mean, it's impossible to avoid it, and you need to live under a rock in my world and not be involved in it. So consider, I mean, as a software developer, and especially in my case, we've been, I mean, always involved with data. Every time that you create something, an application, a service, you model it based on the data you have, the data you're going to receive. Everything is based on the data you're going to use. And then um, every time that you create an application and you expose it to users, you need to collect data from users to make good decisions. I want to think I'm a data-driven decision guy, and without the data, I mean, you're almost nothing. So when I saw all this world outside and new technologies that were trying to handle the big data situation, I've been trying to catch up with it as much as possible. I mean, with so much data being generated right now, there are many things going on to try to handle it properly, to manage all different sources. The complexity of the data has changed. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
So someone who wants to learn more about data science, what is kind of like the first step they could take to start that journey?
Well, I'm not the biggest expert. On my side, I mean, you need to go and attend a course, or even if it's online or presential. There are also many tools you can start using, but data science in particular, it's a little bit more tool agnostic at the beginning. You really need to know how it works. There's a science behind this. There's a little bit of controversy about it, but it's a science, so you really need to learn it academically properly. So yeah, I would recommend to learn about the different disciplines of cleaning data, of exploratory data analysis and regression models, machine learning. You need time to learn those things, and then obviously you can take the leap and apply them using a specific tool. But in the case of data science, I would recommend to join some courses.
So since being with Vidpal, what have you learned about the startup world, and what advice would you have for people getting into a startup?
Well, it's both fantastic and exhausting sometimes. I don't think I'm saying anything new to anybody, but I think, I mean, to me, as I mentioned before, I think it was the right moment and the right thing based on what I was looking for. But it definitely requires a certain character, a certain attitude, because especially in a very early stage startups that are pre-revenue, um, unless you are the founder, and maybe even in that situation, you're not in for the money. So there must be something else you're getting from it. You're getting the experience, you're getting learning, and not just of working in a startup, but working on technologies that probably you haven't seen before. But it also comes at the cost of late nights working, long days, endless hours sometimes, and it pays off. I think it pays off because it's a different dynamic. I'm still very excited after after a few months, and that's a good sign, I guess, because it's I think it fits with my character and my work skills as well. But if you have a very strict work shift, let's say from 1 hour to another hour, you're not too flexible, this might be a little bit overwhelming unless you change a little bit your approach. So it kind of takes a special character to work on them, I think.
And
And sorry, come on.
and what advice would you have for people in a startup?
Well, I think it's mostly about people. It's mostly about the team that you have. because obviously you have to have an idea. You need to have a specific product, but at the end it comes to the people that are executing it. So again, you need that type of people that are able and willing and happy to do the commitment of working sometimes endless hours and sometimes not that endless hours, but to be able to have the flexibility and that enthusiasm and passion to do it. Without it, it will be very difficult because it's a different dynamic completely. I think also because startups cannot afford to have all different positions filled or all different roles. You probably need the people that are more generalists rather than specialists. So you need people that are able to work on different roles, are versatile, and are happy to be to do those different roles, so that you can. I mean, in my case, I've been doing in Vidpal things that I was doing recently and things that I haven't done in 10 years. So it was good that I've done it before. But that's the beauty and the pain of it. You end up doing many different things, and unless you are capable of that type of multi responsibility role, it's gonna be difficult because you cannot really have so many people in the staff in the startup.
Mhm. Well, that's yeah. I really enjoy hearing about just the different kind of environment that you're talking about with like a startup. Because I remember before you're talking about being more like in a corporate world, and how like the environment was a little bit different. So, what was that like initially, kind of being in that world, and then coming into a more like flexible, less bureaucratic kind of environment?
Okay, so that's an interesting question because it is true that even if I was very happy to get into the startup world and at that moment I could only see the bad things of a big company or organized company. The moment you start working on the startup, you kind of start missing those things, even if those were things that you were, in a way, kind of complaining about. When you start working on a startup and you see that there is much less, I mean, there's no red tape at all. There is much less constraints and processes and stuff. Sometimes if you're very used to some organization, you can feel a little bit lost in the beginning and kind of like feel like that was a mistake. Luckily for me, it played out well. But it's true that there's a moment of disorientation at the beginning.
Hmm. Well, thank you, Jamie, for just talking to us about more about VidPal and about your travel experiences, and for joining us tonight.
No problem. My pleasure.
Cool. So then, everybody watching, thank you very much for watching, and you could join us at our vidpal.net Startup and Travel webinar series next week, Thursday at 8 p.m. EST, and we will be interviewing Rodrigo Flamingo from Costa Rica, and he will be telling us about his company that he founded, Epic Web Studio, and how he went through the process of starting the company from the ground up. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Everybody.